Hi. Well, it has been a long time, hasn't it? And yes, I know, I had a haircut. But more important news, it's one of those times again, you know, when I'm getting annoyed at one or the other fandom I'm in for being overly sensitive or certain things that really they should be more grateful towards, and maybe they should give more of a chance. And of course, according to the video title, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Star Trek. In this case, specifically Star Trek Discovery, as opposed to the t-shirt which is proclaiming Samus Aran as Finn Samus Aran of Metroid. Now, something that I just can't take is how immensely some of those fans are trying to defend the glorious, the unmistakably undestroyable canon. The canon of any multi-TV show franchise or multi-movie franchise is going to get dented, is going to get wrecked big time over the course of its existence. Given that, you know, I don't know, the bloody thing is done in different decades. Just like I, for example, am of the opinion that the best Star Wars episode was episode 3 because it actually made the whole thing interesting and wasn't just some boring schlock about good versus evil. And in this case, man, it kinda was, but it was one dude becoming evil, which is always great. Like, it's sort of like Lex Luthor in Smallville. His fall to the dark side is just, oh, that's so entertaining. Goddamn, that's interesting. As opposed to Star Wars episode 4, which is just, kind of boring. And then we got Star Trek. I bloody love The Next Generation as well as Voyager. I grew up with reruns from these shows. I grew up with Star Trek Enterprise. And in Star Trek Enterprise, there was this thing that the first 2 seasons were kind of rubbish. And you probably you can't really say anything against that. I mean, they were giving the best they could. I mean, I could just summon a list. I could just summon a list. All the things that they had done wrong, and all the things they just couldn't quite get right. Up until season 3, and season 3 of Star Trek Enterprise. Let me tell you, there's a reason why I do not just get the bloody thing on DVD. No, I can't. Sorry, I got it in this neat DVD case, which is kind of looks like, I believe it was like the torpedo things. Like, I don't quite remember what precisely they were for. They buried Trip's clone in one of these. Anyway, and because it's really Star Trek being its best. And when I say Star Trek being its best, I mean that Star Trek is a combination of things. Sure, it's this dream of her peace, and we can get along with everybody, but, and here's the catch, it only gets good when you actually got a bit of war sprinkled in there. And Deep Space Nine, for example, really managed to do the best of it. And it's sort of like, you have this dream, but this dream is, technically speaking, still impossible to actually exist. Even in the future. Because if it existed and somehow someone is keeping the shit together, and there must be a dictatorship behind that, no peace should ever be guaranteed like that. That's unrealistic on a human level. Not in a nerd level way where it's like, oh, well, they can't possibly do this because reasons. I mean, the warp drive is, hypothetically perhaps, but like, given the energy that is necessary to actually do it, it's still kind of bogus. Not that it is theoretically not a probable possibility, but I'd rather put my bet on the improbability drive, because at least that one is just improbable, not necessarily impossible. The point I'm trying to make is that, despite everything, I like the peaceful vision of the future. I love The Next Generation for its neat designs, and I missed those designs when I came back to the Discovery, because it was bland, it was metallic, but then I kinda watched a few episodes of the classic series and I got the same feeling about the architecture. It's cold, it's Spartanic, it's not really something that you would want to live in. It's just really weird, in a slightly different way, but they kinda start to morph into this new, into the classic design. They don't even have to do this. Want to know why? Because the bloody Discovery, is a specifically designed science vessel, if I remember correctly, sort of an experimental thing that was under the radar. It wasn't even something all that official, if I remember correctly. Like, they had this experimental stuff aboard, so it makes sense that it doesn't even need to abide to these kind of rules. It just needs to be. And I love that. One other thing that I love was the space battles finally got to the intensity that I kind of expected. The thing about the big difference between Star Wars and Star Trek is simply, it can be summed up in a few simple words. Star Wars is like aeroplane battles. That is nice, but like, your plane gets shot and you're basically fucked. Star Trek is like Das Boot, as in the movie about the submarine, the German submarine. You got a crew, you got all these people that you know, and the bloody boat is gonna get damaged. It's not gonna get destroyed with just one hit. And trying to keep it running, repairing a leak here, then running around in this not necessarily as tight as Spock because it's a spaceship, but like, it gets a bit claustrophobic because the walls are caving in, there's water outside. In this case, there's space outside. That's what makes Star Trek battles interesting. And that's why I fucking love the fact that we have more fucking battles. And Star Trek battles have always had this kind of suspense that Star Wars battles could never provide. Star Wars battles are a spectacle for sure, but they are not as suspenseful. You don't quite get this, like, the whole idea, like the brilliance of the undiscovered country, for example, the fucking brilliance of that shit was in its simplicity of having one cloaked vessel that could shoot at any moment. Two vessels that technically speaking would outnumber and outman it, but you can't see where to aim, Kirk. And that's where it becomes brilliant. Also, lots of people are like, oh well, the vision of the future is ruined. Is it though? Is it really? We got all this inclusionary stuff. Now, some people might say that's a bit SJW of the writers and whatever. Okay. But we have characters that I can believe a bit more than telepathy make pointless. For example, we got characters that feel a lot better than Gangbang McRiker. I love Riker as a character and Troy too, but they really aren't interesting characters. Tilly is interesting. Stamets is interesting. And let's just say like this, what they done to Pike recently. Unfucking believable. Amazing. Star Trek to me was more about this feeling of being out there, of being a family in space. Not necessarily about this perfect future. That stopped with Voyager and brilliant episodes like Scorpion and such, where we could actually get a bit more Cthulhu-ianic, so to speak. And I just don't get it. Why are fans getting so narrow-minded towards all this? Enjoy it. There's so much interesting stuff, and yes, I have to admit, the bloody Spore Drive might be a bit stupid, but entertainingly stupid. For God's sake, you had no problem laughing it off when Spock's bloody brain was stolen. Spock's brain! That's so stupid. It's brilliant again. It's Tommy Wiseau level so stupid. Why you hold it on a pedestal as if it's something so great. It's a TV show. And enjoy all the innovative stuff. There's so much to go around. How we're only in season 2 and now they're really gaining speed. In season 2. The Next Generation needed to end the second season to even get to this kind of point. Deep Space Nine was fuck boring in season 2. Voyager was a train wreck at this point, and I don't even want to start with Star Trek Enterprise. We have one of the most amazing visuals ever put to the name of Star Trek, and yet complaining. What kind of spoiled brats are you? Have you lost all sense of wonder? I'm sorry, even if you download this video. I love this show, like I love everything Star Trek. Well, there's only one thing left to say. See you around. Energize.